In this video we're going to look over this Olympus XA4 Macro compact camera equipped with the electronic flash A11, and in order to put it through its tests I have some batteries for the camera, a battery for the flash, and a scrap roll of film to test it out. So before we load those up though, let's just look around here and see what we have that's different from the other XA models. The XA4 is a fairly uncommon model. It's not very easy to find, and it has a wider 28mm lens as opposed to the 35mm lens that you'll find in the original XA and the XA2. Otherwise it's similar in design, though it does focus more closely, and it comes with this special strap that I'm not exactly sure how this works, but there's supposed to be some way that you use this to determine the minimum focus distance. And I don't know exactly how you do that, but this is the special strap that is for that purpose. It's not supplied with the other XA cameras, and when it's not being used that way, it is a nice carry strap for your camera. The flash unit on this is the same as is used on others. It just screws onto the side, and it has the contacts here that made up with the camera. And if you want to take pictures without flash, you can get by with just carrying this. And lots of people shoved the XA series cameras in their pockets and they get scuffed, and like this one, if I catch the light just right, you can see it's scuffed there a bit. But generally not in bad condition. And another thing I noticed about this version as opposed to the earlier XAs is it features the DX code reader for reading the ASA or ISO value from the pattern on film that's so equipped. A little bit easier loading system here, and a little bit nicer design here where the light seals are in these channels and then these edges made up with that. And as I feel this, I don't feel any stickiness on these edges, so the light seals appear to be very good. And here is a piece of foam, and that feels dry and nice. It's not deteriorating. So what we'll do at this point is load some batteries and put this camera through some tests. So I can undo the battery compartment on the bottom using a penny in the slot. And here the compartment's clean, and we've got a couple of button cells to drop in, positive side up, and get that started. Careful not to cross thread, and we just tighten that up a little bit. And then you can test the battery by putting this on the check, and we hear the beep, so that indicates the batteries are loaded properly and they're good. The flash unit, often these were used left with battery in there. It's a simple AA battery, but many of these have had severe leakage problems and are very badly damaged today. But this one is nice and clean, and let's reattach it onto the camera. That screw on the side makes it a nice all-in-one unit. And let's load the film. So we pull up on the rewind lever, and we'll take our film and drop that into this compartment. Push the knob down, fold the crank, and on this one it's a little nicer loading system than on the earlier other XAs too. All you have to do is get this onto here, and it starts winding, and we can see it's tracking properly. So now we can close the door, and we have to open this up and fire the shutter to be able to advance some more. And we can see here And the film counter, it's just one notch past the S, so we've got to go another one and one more that brings it there. Now we're up to picture 1. So now we've wound in the film that had a chance to be exposed during the loading process, and so now we're ready to start taking pictures. And the XA1 does not have, or XA4 does not have a rangefinder, but it has a zone focus here, and it's in meters, and it goes down to 1/3 of a meter. So you have to estimate your distance from your subject and set that, and then you have to you can just rely on the camera, I believe, to set the ASA value. You can change it here if you need to. And so now we've got the film advanced, and let's shoot the shutter off. There we are. Let's try one more. And then if we keep this in exactly the same position and I turn off this light, the shutter duration is definitely longer. And if I hold it in the same location and turn off this light, definitely longer yet. So we can see that the metering is checking that, and the camera is acting appropriately. Now let's push this button here, and what that does is it pops up this little feature on the flash over here, and I can hear it generating with the battery inside, and so we'll watch for that to indicate an orange glow, signifying that the flash is ready to fire. And there, I see it's there. I'm making sure I can see it on the video. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to push the shutter button, and we'll watch right here. It may not show real well in the video, but we'll try it. Definitely a bright flash. Advance that to cock the shutter again, wait for it to signify it's ready, and it is again already, so here we go one more time. So that worked really well. When you're done taking flash pictures, you can shut the flash off by simply pushing that down. Now the other thing we should check is the self timer. And so now I'm just going to point it here at us here and push this. We can hear the beep. At a higher pitch, indicating it's about ready to go, and it completed the cycle. So we saw that that worked. The flash itself does have a little feature here for setting an ASA value. I see 400, 100, and full. I'm not sure exactly what you do with that. I think you set it to match the speed of your film. I don't know exactly. So anyway, this is a pretty nice example of the XA4, and what I'm going to do is just pop off the remainder of the pictures on this roll. I think it's a 24 exposure roll, and so we're only about halfway through. I should point out that, let's see, one feature of this camera that's kind of interesting is that regardless of what this is set at, if you close the cover and open it again, it's pointing at this 3 here, and that's in meters, so that's about, what, 10 feet or so. And it's considered that it's approximately good enough for just general snapshots. And so you can just use this as a point-and-shoot camera if you want more precise focus, and especially as you're getting down to closer ranges, you can do that. Or you can just push it all the way up to infinity. But regardless of where you have it, out here it will go back to that 3. Okay, back to cranking through these pictures. Well, and there it's up to 24, and we'll see if it goes a little farther. There, I'd say that's at the end. I felt the resistance there. So the rewind process is just to simply press this button on the bottom, and then to close the cover, flip up the crank, and crank in a clockwise direction. And I can tell the film is rewinding back inside there. And we just keep that going until we feel it break free of the take-up spool, and so now it's free. So we can lift up on this, pop the back open, and there's the film all cranked back into its canister. So if this were real film that we had taken pictures of, we could process that. So all in all, a fairly nice example of the XA4 Macro. I see just a little bit of some funny discoloration right here in the flash. There and there and there, kind of a yellowish cast. Doesn't look like it goes over the lens, and I don't know what that's from. But I just want to point that out, as well as a little bit of scuffing right here. And here it looks like there's some protective plastic over this DX that's coming loose a little bit. You're probably supposed to peel that off and throw it away when the camera was new. Really nice example of the Olympus XA4 Macro.